All right, Seattle hockey fans, that's right. Dave Hakstol talked about the captaincy today at training camp. We're going to talk about that. I got to witness Pierre-Edouard Bellmare up close and personal, and Brian Doumilin on why and how he's wearing his number this season. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken. I am your host, Erica L. Ayala, coming to you live from the 32 Bar and Grill, overlooking, of course, the ice at Kraken Community Iceplex. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Remember, FanDuel is the official sports book of Locked On. You can make every moment more with FanDuel. So right now, new customers can bet $5 and you'll get up to $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. So make sure you visit FanDuel.com/Locked On. And I talked about it in the open, in the tease. Look at that, Alexiak looking on with that steely glare. Got Eberle right over there. And listen, Eberle and company will remain alternate captains. We got the official word from Dave Hakstol. It was Mike Benton in the scrum after training camp, after the scrimmage today. And let me take you to exactly what Dave Hakstol had to say.
We've got a lot of faith in the core group. I mean, you see that starts with our assistant captains, but it's it goes deeper than that as well. There's other guys in the dressing room that are involved in that and are very important in that. We've got some really good young players that are good people that understand the game and the process that also in their own way can push and lead. But as I said, the veteran group, the core group, we got a lot of belief and a lot of faith in.
Is the captain brace or anything?
Yeah, no, we'll continue with with the same group that we have right now with the assistant captains and continue that way into this year.
So again, that's Dave Hakstol telling us that we will have the same leadership core, no captaincy, at least through this season. That's what Dave told us. Just as a refresher, who are those alternate captains? Jaden Schwartz, you've got Yanni Gourde, Adam Larson, and Jordan Eberle. And I've told you my take on it. I'm looking at Eberle right now over here. I like Eberle as captain material. I've started to really grow. Jaden Schwartz has started to grow on me, but so has Adam Larson. Yanni Gourde, I know, is kind of the fan favorite. I'm totally good with Yanni Gourde as well. But what this also means is that we won't see any changes, at least according to what Dave said just now. It doesn't look like we're going to see any changes to the captaincy, not as the official letter-wearing C, but also to the alternate captains, which means no Matty Beniers. I know I've seen around the interwebs some people thinking maybe the Seattle Kraken forego naming a proper true captain after Mark Giordano, of course, was traded at the first trade deadline in the inaugural season, and maybe we wait for Matty Beniers to take that. I mean, it's looking like that is a possibility. We have to see what Matty Beniers looks like on the ice. But there's something about leadership on this team. We had Allison Lucan speaking right here at 32 Bar and Grill alongside John Forsland, and she reminded us that her degree is in leadership. So we're going to talk a lot about leadership this season, and not just in the absence of a captain, but in the emergence of leadership. And there's actually something that Brian Doumilin said when he talked to media today, that's one of the reasons that not only did he come to Seattle and was he excited to come to Seattle, but that he's enjoyed his time so far. So I'm going to give you some of my takeaways from my observations here at training camp day 2. Now, this is day 2 of the whole team together. We had rookie camp earlier in the week, but I'm going to give you my thoughts, and then make sure you know the schedule for the rest of training camp and preseason, along with how you can catch up with me and Locked on Kraken for the next few days. I know I talked about some things and going to rough and tumble maybe this weekend, but we're going to talk about the updated schedule. Before I let you out of here, in our first segment, I want to also remind you that you can join the subtext community. And if you want the direct quotes, written text, I sent this to our subtext community before recording today. And so you can text 918-731-3154 to join the subtext community. You can chat directly with me. You can ask me questions. If I know that I'm going to speak to a player ahead of time, I'll let you know. And if you want to ask that player questions, you can do so. But this is your Kraken Insider on subtext. Make sure you're joining. You can also use the link in the show notes if you want, but you can text 918-731-3154 using your mobile device, and you'll get a 14-day free trial. And then after that, it's $4.99 a month to get Kraken Inside information. And like I said, later in the show, I'll let you know when we're doing our AMA, Ask Me Anything, this month. And yes, it will come during training camp. All right. Like I said, we have lots coming up on this episode, this Friday edition of Locked on Kraken. Coming up next, though, I'm going to give you some of the notes and quotes from day 2 of training camp right here at Kraken Community Iceplex. That's coming up on Locked on Kraken. Today's episode of Locked on Kraken is brought to you by Birddogs. And as I promised on yesterday's episode, you can't really tell right now, but I am wearing my Birddogs. Super comfortable. I told you I love the little side pocket where I can put my mobile device. It doesn't freeze on me, nothing like that. It's nice, safe, close to the body, keeps that body warm, so that when I'm taking little videos that you'll see up on social media, or if I'm using the audio, which you'll hear Oliver Bjorkstrand actually a little bit later, you'll hear about an interview I did with him. I don't have to worry about anything. These are super comfortable. They come with, the sewn in shorts, basically undergarments, which I talked about a little bit yesterday, but I really love Birddogs. So visit birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL, or you can use promo code LockedOnNHL when you head to the Birddogs website, and that will get you a free water bottle with your first order. I cannot wait to get more of these Birddogs pants. These are great to wear around the rink. I think that they fit really well. I'm not freezing my tuchus off. Maybe that is the extra lining that helps in that regard. But make sure you check out Birddogs. You won't want to take your Birddogs off. You can trust me. I haven't taken them off since getting these pants in particular. Thanks as always for making Locked on Kraken a part of your daily destination. I know earlier in the week I was traveling. I was in Toronto. I was covering the WNBA finals. I was making my way out to the Pacific Northwest, but we are back on track, and I'm coming to you live from Kraken Community Iceplex. Technically, I'm at the 32 Bar and Grill. This is a nice little kind of a Cuba Libre, if you will, of course, with Kraken rum. And thank you so much. Got some food over here as well. But I love being back here in the Pacific Northwest. I love being around the Seattle Kraken crew that's covering this organization. We know that Darren Brown, of course, is the new NHL writer for the Seattle Kraken, so congrats to him. Emerald City Hockey doing it, Davy Jones Locker Room. I mean, I could go on and on and on, and you'll hear from some of these people throughout training camp. But Speaking of training camp, got my handy dandy notebook, E for Erica. It's actually for my alma mater, which is Elon, not, the guy that owns that social media app, but Elon University. Anyway, so I mentioned leadership. Obviously, we will not get a captain this year. That is something Dave Hakstol confirmed. It was Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network asking. But we did hear from Brian Doumilin. And a fun little nugget about Brian Doumilin, and we've mentioned this a time or two, but, we saw on social media that he's wearing the number 8. And that's a number that he's worn for a number of years. But that number, of course, was taken by Cale Fleury. And Doumilin told us today in the media scrum in the locker room that he actually heard from the training staff. They reached out to him, and I guess Cale Fleury had said he'd give that number away. Brian Doumilin didn't ask for it. But, as he was talking about some of that leadership, I think what you hear, and it kind of went with his comments from earlier, is Brian felt that there's a lot of opportunity with the Seattle Kraken for people to step up in leadership, to do the right thing. And so even though we're not going to have a captain this year, from what Dave Hakstol said, I think there's opportunities for guys to step into leadership. What have we talked about? FC opportunity, right? Or HC opportunity. There's so many chances to really step up and be a leader. And I think that's what people appreciate when they come to Seattle Kraken. It's not just one person talking. Everyone has the ability to step up, to, to share their expertise. And that's exactly why this is a special organization. And you hope that there's a nice balance between people feeling that they have autonomy and that they can be expressive and have a voice, while also taking a back seat when it's time for someone else to step up in leadership. And I just think, being able to give away your jersey number like that is such a cool example of these guys out on the ice really looking out for each other. Some other more fun things. Pierre-Edouard Bellmare spoke to us today. He is a hoot and a half. I think I'm really going to enjoy speaking to him throughout the season. But of course, we've been talking a lot about conditioning. I told you that conditioning was something I was a little bit concerned about. I did ask Dave Hakstol about that, how the coaching staff balances conditioning. And so let me take you back to Dave Hakstol. This is me asking him about conditioning.
In the first few days of training.
Yeah, that's pieced into everything. Day one, we probably leave a little bit of gas in the tank. You got to remember, one of the goals is, you get to the end of camp, you want to be ready, you want to be prepared, and you want to be healthy. So day one, we leave a little bit on the table, a little bit in the tank, but today we emptied it. With a full practice, with a full scrimmage, and then conditioning after. But in reality, guys come into camp in good shape. We're trying to push that over the next 2 weeks into, true game shape. So part of that is, through some of the things that we did, yesterday and today. Also part of that is going to be, how we, divvy up the playing time in preseason games and allow players to get themselves ready to elevate to the regular season, which is a whole different pace.
So Dave Hakstol talking about conditioning, and it was something that in day 2 of training camp, they focused on a little bit more. And I love that Kate Shefty asked about bag skates. And but we didn't see it here on this main ice. Apparently, perhaps, we have already had the first bag skate of the season. Here's Dave Hakstol once again responding again about bag skating, but also conditioning for his squad.
Did you didn't come over to rink 2 after the scrimmage?
I could only be in one place at one time. Was there one going on that wing thing too?
Yeah, I guess they're passé then. We got a little extra in after each of the scrimmages today, and that's what I said. Like, in all seriousness, I mean, yesterday was a practice and a scrimmage, and we ended it there today. I mean, there was a short practice, but full practice with small numbers on the ice, and the full scrimmage, and then a little bit of conditioning after.
So there we go. We got to see a rare smile, a little bit maybe of a smirk from Dave Hakstol. But jokes aside, I really do like that the Seattle Kraken are focusing on training, of course, or conditioning, I should say. Of course, at training camp, there's going to be some conditioning worked in, and Dave alluded to that. But remember, I told you that I think conditioning might have been a little bit of an issue last season. And conditioning may be coupled with injuries and players having to get back to game shape after injuries, a little bit of a tweak here and there. Obviously, with Burakovsky, a longer injury, Drieger, a longer injury. So it's definitely a balancing act. How much do you push now? And Pierre-Edouard Bellmare actually addressed this also when it came to some of like the captain skates or, you know, the independent skates. You don't want to empty the tank. That's a phrase we heard from Dave Hakstol today. You don't want to empty the tank too soon. It's a little bit of a balance, but it does sound like the players got after it today. And I don't want to call out any names, but let's just say we were waiting on some people to speak to us in the media scrum, and maybe they needed a little bit of extra time with the trainer. So hopefully that's just a joke and not something that we have to worry about down the stretch. Speaking of down the stretch, let's go over the upcoming schedule for training camp and, of course, preseason. That's coming up next on Locked On Kraken. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. Erica L. Ayala here at the Kraken Bar and Grill. I tell you what, I had the little pretzel knots today. I've got some wings here. I've got a salad that I'm very excited about. I mean, I was thinking the fries, but I mean, come on. Who doesn't want some of that? Look at that. Even Alexiak behind me is liking how that looks. So if you're at Kraken Community Iceplex, come up to 32 Bar and Grill. Not sponsored, but we're totally open to it. But let's go over this upcoming schedule. So team will have a little bit of a break tomorrow, and then we have Military Appreciation Day happening tomorrow. There are 3 different sessions tomorrow. We're going to be here from 9 to 2:30, or excuse me, on Sunday, not tomorrow. Don't come here on Saturday. Come on Sunday. Also, military appreciation. There's complimentary barbecue happening at 12:30. So if you're hungry, come through here. All kinds of raffles, all kinds of fun stuff happening here at Kraken Community Iceplex. Then the team will hit the ice again on Monday. On Wednesday, there are cake pops, which is super awesome. So you see that the training camp schedule continues to go, but also, of course, we'll have the preseason schedule. So on Monday, it's a split squad. So we have a quick skate, but then it's the split squad, half of the team going up to Calgary, half of the team staying here. I will be covering the preseason games as well for Locked On Kraken right here in the flesh. So we'll talk about that. Thursday, take on the Vancouver Canucks. And on October 2nd, the last game here at home be against the Edmonton Oilers before the Seattle Kraken. They take on the Canucks and the Oilers on the road. Early to say what we're really getting from training camp, but I think it's been interesting. If you're on our subtext, you got to hear from Joey Decord about kind of the sting of losing in Game 7, overtime, being 1 goal away. I spoke to Max McCormick and Oliver Bjorkstrand also today, and it was interesting to hear Max McCormick also talk about that sting of Game 7. Oliver Bjorkstrand, I talked to him a little bit about, and we've talked about this. If you're an everydayer or an OGer, then you know that Oliver Bjorkstrand has been open about knowing kind of his tendencies as an NHL player and feeling that coming into the Seattle Kraken, things got going a little bit later than he wanted. But, of course, we know that Oliver Bjorkstrand was able to get some stuff done in the postseason. But if you want to know his philosophy, how he felt about his offensive production and what he's looking to do this season, then make sure you are a part of our subtext community. I'll once again put the graphic up on the screen. One of my favorite episodes, me just for whatever reason, going through a million hats and having a good time. But anyway, access to insider coverage and team news by SMS or direct text message subscription. That is what Substack is all about. So you can text 918-731-3154 to sign up. Again, that's 918-731-3154. That'll get you started. You get a 14-day free trial to start. And then after that, it's not even $5 a month. So we're going to have lots of stuff here. I'm going to be sharing interviews. I'm also going to be batching interviews that we'll have for later, even when I'm not traveling with the team. So you're not going to want to miss it. And we will have our Ask Me Anything. We're going to do that next week, Tuesday. I'm going to a Mariners game with a good friend of mine who lives out here in Seattle. So I'm super excited for that. But before I get all of that done, I'm going to do an AMA Ask Me Anything. Also next week, this is a question actually that I got from a listener that I met up here at 32 Bar and Grill. I'm going to give you who I think you should root for in the Professional Women's Hockey League, in the PWHL. Lots of people, Kraken PR, other media reporters, and fans have been asking me about the PWHL. I am still waiting to coordinate that interview with Jessica Campbell, who I told you, of course, was a part of the Ottawa Senators draft preparation. So I'm also going to give you some insight because I asked Natalie Spooner about the PWHL to the Pacific Northwest. So let's just do it. We're going to go through all 6 PWHL teams and who should you root for because you're a Seattle Kraken fan. I'm going to break that down for you next week. But as always, thank you so much for listening to Locked on Kraken. We're almost to 900 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So if you want to do that, make sure you subscribe. That's 100% completely free. We are going to be posting post-game, maybe not as much as we did last year. We're trying to find a good balance. But the best way to let me know what you like is just by commenting in the comments on the videos. Let me know. Do you like some of the media scrums? Do you like the post-game stuff? Do you want less of it? Do you want more original interviews? Let me know. But as always, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. And of course, hold fast, stay true, and we say loud and proud, let's go Kraken. Until the next episode, peace out, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.